Hello YouTube, what is going on? And just I was thinking to myself before I start, I said, oh my gosh, do you hear that? Quietness. But then I heard somebody go to the bathroom, so anyway. Hello guys. How are y'all doing today? I am doing good. So I wanted to go ahead and get this video done because Sunday I will be 38 weeks. So this week I am 37 weeks. And in this week, if the baby decides to come now, then the baby will be okay outside of the womb. Everything will be fine because I'm at that 37 week mark. So, and it seemed like ever since I've hit 37 weeks, you hear me breathing like, ugh. Ever since I've hit 37 weeks, it's been like, I feel contractions, light contractions. I lost some of my mucus plug. Just really tired. Cervix bone is hurting. Don't want to do anything. Just want to sleep. But of course, I can't just not do anything because I got 5 kids. So, just a little bit of everything. But and he's doing something now. But besides that, I'm doing okay. Blood pressure's fine. I don't see anything unusual that's happening. So I'm ready. So let's get into it. Let me go on this app. Now, I don't think these sets of videos is going to be as long as the last ones. And guys, I apologize if I had so many clips. But it was just so much to talk about around that particular topic. And that I hope, you guys enjoyed it, that watched it. I hope it educated you. And I hope that it informed you. And I hope it helped you make some decisions about your pregnancy. All right. So I am 37 weeks and 5 days pregnant. I have 16 days left. My baby is 19.02 inches. And the baby weighs about 6.68 pounds. This is all just estimates. And it just basically shows, the size of the baby, my body and my baby. And baby Zamar is moving. He is doing his thing. So, let me go ahead and get right into it. And we will go ahead and get straight to the point. I'll try to go ahead and get this done. Like I said, this one is going to be a little easy. It's a no-brainer. Don't have a lot of research on it. And so, I do have some research, but the internet don't have a lot of sources for it. So the topic today I'm going to be talking about is bear with me. All right, 37 weeks. The rise of unassisted birth. How midwives are turning into midwives. So, I discussed this with my doula, and she is a doula. She's under apprentices becoming she wants to be a midwife. And so I asked her, I was like, well, what are you going to do? And I'm basically going to discuss, I looked up other laws in different states, but I'm definitely just going to deal with Alabama because this is where I'm at. But I asked her, what is she going to do with all the stuff that I learned, and I told her about it, and she told me her plan, what she plans to do, because it's just really ridiculous. And it's a lot of other states that's like this as well. I'm just trying to summarize it up. But the rise of unassisted birth, how midwives are turning into midwives. So you guys, I'm going to share my story. I think now that I got this research, and say this, it still don't make it right how she did me. But now that I got this research, and now it's like the puzzle done come together, like why things happened the way they did for me when I tried a midwife. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I really thank God that this is the path that he took me on. So I'm just grateful. So anyway, it was about, I'll say, May of 2020. I was early in my pregnancy, and I had already talked to my husband. I knew that if I had another baby, we were done with hospitals. I was still grieving Zane. I think I was a year and some months into his loss, and I just knew I'm not going back to the hospital. I knew that. I didn't plan to go back like I did with the other ones. So, just really uncertain. I really hadn't heard of midwifery. I really hadn't researched it. So my journey of losing my son brought me to that place, and I'm like, okay, let me look up some midwives. So I looked up some, and what I regret doing is I should have asked a little more, but I didn't. But I ran into this lady. She is Alabama, I think as a whole, well, not as a whole, let me take that back. Just in Mobile County, because I live in Mobile County. I think we only have 2 midwives here in Alabama. So I looked up a midwife, and I found her on Facebook. But the crazy thing is, she was already friends with me on Facebook. I guess I just had been getting so many friends requests when my child died, and everybody was sort of drawn to the story. Some people were drawn in a negative way, and some were drawn in a positive way. And I ended up getting up in this group called Crunchy Christian Moms, and I wasn't really talking in the group. It was after my baby died that they reached out to me and I guess put me back in the little group and wanted to hear my story, I guess. So, but I'm not trying to get off topic, but I've learned with losing my son, everybody that come in your circle is not there to really comfort you. They're there to hear your trauma. People are drawn to trauma. If you look in the entertainment industry, what are we drawn to when we get entertained? We're drawn to the latest gossip, the latest news, the latest scandal. We are. That's our entertainment. And I learned when losing my son that everybody doesn't mean you no good. So let me get back to the story. We was already friends, and I'm like, that's weird. So I guess she was following my story because I was really sharing a lot when my baby died. And so I called her and I was like, I'm interested in being your client. And my husband was like, when we found out she was in Mississippi, we was like, we don't want to drive away to Mississippi to do midwifery. You know, in my mind, I'm thinking midwife, that they would come to your home. I didn't know that you had to drive to a whole nother state. I didn't know nothing. And my husband was like, no, we don't want to do this. We'll find another way. And at that time, me and my husband wasn't on the best of terms. I wish we would have been, but we have to understand we had just lost a child. And we didn't realize how bad it impacted our marriage. And so in that time, when I look back at that, I wasn't listening to him. Really, I wasn't taking in the things that he was telling me. He was telling me right, but we just wasn't coming together. And we didn't even realize it. That's the crazy thing. We didn't realize that we wasn't agreeing. We wasn't really coming together. Like everything he tell me, I sort of knock against it because I felt like I was like this. You're not going to interfere with me having a baby at home. That's how I was. So he was like, Lexus, I don't want to drive. And then, I thought about it. I was like, I don't either. I really don't want to drive to Mississippi to talk to this lady. And so I have to check my camera because I can talk and and it'll go on and on. Okay, I'm good, I guess. But I was like, I don't want to drive to Mississippi, and I don't want to drive that far and do midwifery and all that stuff. So she did, I went back and told her that, hey, I think we're going to take our services elsewhere. But then the red flag came in. She began to start manipulating me. And she was like, it don't take that long to drive to Mississippi. That was she was. And I was like, do you have an office in Mobile? She said, I got an office in Mobile. But, and y'all, this is a crazy story. But, I really practice in Mississippi. So, realizing I'm being manipulated, I was like, no, I didn't realize I was being manipulated. I was just determined to have a home birth. I was like, nothing is stopping me from doing this. I'm going to do this. And these are the things I have to do. This is what I'm going to do. So, we end up meeting with her. And I met with her, and she pulled up a contract or whatever, and my husband was infuriated because time we went there, and you have to understand, Sam was there at every single birth, and it felt like, now that I'm thinking about it, it felt like they was trying to disinclude him. That's what it began to feel like, because when we went to the office, and I think COVID was hitting, because of COVID, he couldn't come in. So I had to visit by myself. That's another red flag, because I really feel like when you're pregnant, and if you do have a husband, thank God you got a husband. Because as being pregnant, you can't, I feel like for me, if I had to, I would, but this was something I really wanted, and I just didn't see, I was just blind to the fact that this lady was going to end up trying to rip me off. So I was really just blind to it, and so that was another red flag where my person that was supposed to speak for me had to stay in the car, and my kids. And she's talking to me, and then I can see the emotional game that she played on me was, oh, I'm sorry about your son, and here I am breaking down crying. And then she was like, she wanted to develop a relationship with me, and blah, blah, blah. And we had the money. And one thing I didn't like, because I asked her, I said, you don't use debit cards? No. She don't take no debit cards. She don't take, she only wanted cash. And I never remember her giving me a receipt. She don't do receipts. So I did find that strange. All right, y'all. I'm going to have to cut this off. And I'm going to bring Zephaniah down here with me. And then I'll show you how he looks now. Well, he stopped crying. Okay. But she didn't have no receipts. They was just, it just felt weird. And my husband, he flipped out. He was like, I just want to be in and listen to what's going on. He told me that. I'm like, Sam, you need to calm down. And she came outside, and it scared her. She's a white lady. This is a black man. Enraged. And I'm like, and finally she let him in. And he said, I don't mean no harm. I just want to be here to support my wife. And so, after all that happened and she got paperwork done and all this stuff, finally she let Sam and the kids inside. I guess because she was afraid of his rage. And that religion spirit came in, and she started talking about how she loved the Lord and how she do this for the Lord. And my husband liked talking about the Bible, so they sat there and talked for a while. And I'm like, I gotta go to work. So I finally went on to work. I got there late, but it was just odd. It was just odd how she maneuvered stuff. And then there was a time where we came back there for an appointment, and there was another lady waiting to visit. I guess she was doing prenatal care. She had a baby, and I looked at her. I was like, oh my gosh, the baby is so cute. And she said, I had to deliver the baby. My mother-in-law delivered the baby. And I'm like, what? She said she was on the phone, just on the phone with us, and just sort of showed us how to do. I'm like, what? And immediately what I should have done, you know what? You can keep that little $500 I gave you. Have a nice day. I'll figure this out. But I was so hell-bent. Nobody could tell me anything. Even my own red flags would not tell me anything. And me and Sam was like, this is weird. Like, if you pay the midwife, why is she delivering, my mother-in-law delivering the baby, and she can't make it? So the contract required me to get a doula. So this current doula that I had somebody before her. So I hired her on, and once again, me and Sam clashed with that. Sam felt like, I can be your doula. I can be, and you see how crazy how it worked out, even though Sam didn't even realize it. And as I'm talking about this, I'm just reminiscing on how God put this together, because he told me these words, and we got into a big argument. He was like, baby, I can be your doula. You don't need a doula. But the contract that I made with the midwife required me to have a doula. And I kept noticing this. I'm like, this is so much money. I have to pay her. And everything that I get, my equipment, my own stuff, I have to pay for that. And my husband like, no, you're not hiring a doula. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you get on my nerves. And we just was not seeing eye to eye. We argued up and down until the doula was like, I'm not here to take his place. I'm just here to support, her giving the birth. He wasn't buying it. But he was right, and I at the time, like I said, me and Sam was not in a good place, and we didn't even realize it. We had hurt that we were both dealing with after burying that child. I wouldn't wish that on nobody. But when I look back at it, he was right. He didn't even know that at the end that he was going to deliver the baby. So he was tapping into something he didn't realize. But we got into a big argument. Finally, he backed off, let me hire her, and I was like, okay. So she gave me some educational books to read, and I had to do, it was like being in school. Oh gosh, I have to check this camera, guys. All right, I got a little more time to talk. But I hired her, and then she came over one time, and we talked, and y'all keep in mind, I was still breaking down. I was still grieving my baby. But she gave me some educational stuff to learn. And keep in mind, I was working. So, and then I had 3 children, husband. I had a lot going on. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't read no book like that. I was trying to make sure I paid them. because in the end, I wanted to make sure they were here, because at the end of the day, I paid them to do a job. And so she gave me the curriculum. And then one day I was at work. She just kept texting me. This is the doula. You're not reading the material. I'm like, I'm going to be honest. Excuse me. I'm like, who the hell she thinks she is? I'm like, I'm a grown woman. I'm not. You're not reading my material. And I told her, I texted her back. I said, I have had 4 vaginal births. I said, I've had it with the assistant of medication. What are you talking about? So she kept sending all these text messages like, I don't think you're qualified because you haven't read your material. And now at this time, I am further along. I'm like $2,000 and some extra money in paying this midwife. And I was just ticked. I'm like, why is she adding stress to me? And so I took me a break and I got somewhere to call her because I was tired of texting. This was stupid. We 2 grown women. I wanted to talk to her. So yeah, I think I'm gonna cut this off right here. I'm just scared this is gonna cut off on me. So let me yeah, I'll cut it off right here. All right, we'll be back with part 2.